So I have a question for you, Glanbia. What are you going to do with BSN? So it's been a little over 8 years since Glanbia purchased Bioengineered Supplements and Nutrition, or BSN, for $144 million. If we transport back into 2011, Glanbia, in terms of a performance nutrition portfolio like they are today, didn't look like that. They only had the BSN acquisition that they made and a prior acquisition in Optimum Nutrition that they bought in 2008 for $315 million. And that acquisition also included ABB, or American Bodybuilding. So at the time when Glanbia purchased BSN, they really only had these two brands, or three brands if you count ABB. So much different than the portfolio that we're used to, the one that I've talked to you guys about in various different earnings breakdowns. I'll pop up the most recent one for you guys to check that out if you are a little bit confused around what I'm talking about with Glanbia's Performance Nutrition, that side of the portfolio, and what brands go into that one. But in 2011, if we think about the landscape in sports nutrition, we think about just Glanbia in terms of just having Optimum Nutrition and the smaller American Bodybuilding. This was a perfect acquisition for them in 2011. This was polar opposites in terms of what these brands were selling. And at the time, in the growing US performance nutrition, sports nutrition market, these were the brands. You didn't have as much competition during that time 8 years ago. You also didn't have as much fragmentation. So these were a great fit for each other. And if you take a snapshot of back in 2011, Optimum Nutrition was very similar to what it is today. They were selling quality, consistency, value, a trusted sports nutrition, nutritional supplement portfolio of products. Same as what they are today. That's exactly what they were selling back then. Now, BSN, on the other hand, was all about selling, this cool factor, innovation, premium products. It was this culture. Back in 2011, they were that cool brand. If I think back way early to the time when I first started buying, sports nutrition for myself, I think, if we talk like first products I ever bought, it was definitely some Muscle Tech products that my dad and I went into GNC, and that's what they sold us. But when I got into college and I started buying supplements for myself, the first supplement that I can remember, the one that's really kind of burned into my mind, was NO-Explode from BSN in 2004, maybe, I think, when I bought it. Funny story about that. I remember when me and my roommate bought a tub of NO-Explode. We were pumped about this. We were trying it out. I remember we also had gotten a shaker cup to go along with this, and I don't think either one of us also had never had a shaker cup until that. You got to remember, that was back in the days when you either used a blender if you were lucky, or maybe you used a fork or a spoon, whatever you kind of had available, with products that didn't have all that great of mixability comparable today. But we were shaking up this NO-Explode in his shaker bottle, and just as the name suggests, this pre-workout blew up everywhere, and I believe it was probably like blue raspberry, I think. So you had this artificial blue coloring all over our kitchen. You had it all over the place. We were just laughing our asses off because we did not know this was going to happen to this product. So that product, that experience has it's definitely like burned into my memory for like some of my earlier sports nutrition purchases on my own. So in a way, BSN has a special place in my heart. BSN owns red, so I'm wearing this red kind of to pay homage to BSN, hopefully give you guys a little bit of a tie-in between, this video and their branding. Mid 2000s, late 2000s, they continuously kind of grew. They grew very fast. They continue to be the cool brand to buy if you were, younger consumer, college-age consumer like myself. That was the brand to have in your supplement cabinet. And they progressed into having, the elite athletes, be it bodybuilders or fitness athletes or, sports athletes. They were the official nutritional supplement sponsor of the UFC when UFC was just kind of getting started on their growth. So you were seeing them all over the mats. And to further kind of intertwine my story with BSN's, honestly, when I was working at Muscle Farm back in the early 2010s, we honestly took a lot of their playbook from them. I mean, we took the UFC sponsorship from them. We used athletes more flashy and kind of bigger than they did. And the only thing we were missing was we didn't have the revenue base that BSN did. So when they were going out there and doing all that kind of stuff, they were actually still making money. So maybe a little bit different, but I digress. I don't want to get into that kind of story right now. If we take a look at the press release from 2011 that Glanbia put out when they purchased BSN, they highlighted five strategic initiatives, like why they were buying this asset. So the first one was to build the group's sales position in an attractive, high growth, high margin sports nutrition sector. So they were trying to add on to their portfolio. They were trying to get more end consumer brands, not just some innovations that went into products. They were also looking to broaden the performance nutrition product portfolio into new categories and new channels. So what they're specifically talking about this is Explode was a major player in the pre-workout category. Until that point, and still to this point, I mean, Optimum Nutrition, if you want to count amino energy, you can, but they've never really had that A pre-workout. And this acquisition allowed them to purchase BSN that had an A SKU back then of Explode. So this got them into into a very fast growing category at the time in 2011. This was a great complement to their protein heavy Optimum Nutrition. They're saying also this represents a further step in international growth opportunities for the performance nutrition portfolio. So again, they were getting a stronger piece of the U.S. sports performance nutrition segment. BSN was also doing a lot of business in other international markets, so they were able to get access to other markets or other distribution partners that could help them. They're saying it offered innovation, new product development opportunities through combined R&D, so synergies. This is Portfolio 101. This was kind of the early days of Glanbia matching up a lot of this to create synergies. They also highlighted that this continues to develop Glanbia in line with the group's international growth strategy. Again, more access to America. If we fast forward and then look back through our rosy colored glasses, I mean, they have achieved all five of those initiatives in varying degrees. I mean, they have definitely done well on this investment. So with all that success and them meeting their strategic initiatives, why would I ask that initial question at the beginning of the video? Why am I asking Glanbia what they plan on doing with the BSN asset? It partly comes down to, I believe, that Glanbia is at a crossroads with this asset. I mean, in terms of their portfolio right now, it doesn't necessarily fit. Some of the recent movements, strategies have not really differentiated the brand anymore. It's a lot closer to Optimum Nutrition in terms of their portfolio now, or the consumer preferences. So this is partly why I'm asking this question, and want to kind of expand on that and to say, is this something that Glanbia should divest from? Or if they are going to keep it, what do they do with it? What would I suggest maybe they do with it? So kind of running through the divestment scenario. First of all, I think they've created enough of value and they've created a profit out of this purchase. Even in the last period that was reported by BSN in terms of the revenue in 2009, in that calendar year, they had $135 million in revenue, and they were also profitable. So if you add in, further years of growth right after the acquisition, plus a bunch of synergies in terms of costs, after these 8 years, pretty good guess that they've gotten their value out of this asset. So they have gotten their return on investment. Second reason for possible divestment could be BSN's still an attractive sports nutrition brand. There's still a lot of great framework that can be utilized by somebody that's looking to purchase a sports nutrition brand. I think for Glanbia internally, it clears out the performance side, that side of the portfolio. I'll try to see if I could pop up. They have this great little graph that kind of puts all of their portfolio brands within this kind of spectrum in terms of what kind of buyer they are. So I'll try to make sure if I could pull that up, you guys will see that here. Outside of clearing up some cannibalization and them clearing up this area so they can more differentiation between Optimum and some of their other brands, you just honestly from all of the earnings calls, financial reports, you don't see them ever really mentioning BSN. That's just not something they ever mention. You see them casually mentioning some of their other brands, but they just never seem to make any note to BSN. So to me, I believe it's just getting lost in the portfolio. I think that brand managers, different people within the performance nutrition team are maybe a little bit confused on where they put this with Glanbia, some of their core competencies, some of their new sales initiatives, some of their product development plans. Like, how does this fit? Because a lot of them seem to be overlapping with Optimum, which is honestly just cannibalizing that business. There's a vicious kind of discount cycle that could come into place with BSN or both of them that could be causing some downward pressure on pricing. And then kind of the final reason of maybe why they should divest in this is that I don't know if Glanbia knows how to pull off cool, like the cool factor. I mean, this brand was extremely kind of cool, and I can't think of the technical marketing term off the top of my head, but you could just get a sense that with the brands that Glanbia owns, they're acquiring, this doesn't necessarily fit into some of their core competencies. So with trying to play the cool factor still in America where things are dynamically changing, always kind of progressing, I think Glanbia gets a little bit lost in this scenario. Over these 8 years, they've stripped away a lot of the identity, they've stripped away a lot of the costs associated with some of their athletes or sponsorships. Some of their packaging has changed in a way that kind of mutes it a little bit. Even their logo has been muted. So there just kind of seems like the BSN culture, cool factor just seems to be getting stripped away a little bit. So for any or all of those reasons, I just feel like maybe it could be a good time to get out, make some money on the sale, move on, maybe hold that cash for a little bit, see what happens in the market, pick up something that's on a fire sale or cheap. There's going to be a lot of legacy sports nutrition brands that continue to struggle in the market. So Glanbia has kind of a system to get them out of the hole. They've proven that with recent success with the SlimFast name. So to increase their cash position for when one of these brands go up for sale, they could divest in the BSN name. Now, obviously, that's all my opinion, speculation, nothing that's rooted in insider information or nothing that I know within Glanbia portfolio as truth. That's just kind of my thoughts, just something that I've been thinking about, just my personal opinion. But if they don't decide to divest in the BSN name, like if they keep it, what do they do with it? I think that their current strategies seem to really be cannibalizing more than helping the portfolio. So I think it's important for us to kind of look at what Glanbia Performance Nutrition is focusing on right now and maybe how that fits in to what BSN can currently do or can be adapted into to work. So Glanbia Performance Nutrition has been focusing on primarily two channels. You have direct-to-consumer, and then you have food, drug, mass convenience. In terms of the products that are a main focus in the portfolio, you have protein is still their core. I mean, they own the supply chain there, so that's going to continuously be their core. But you're also looking at ready to eat and ready to drink. Now, based on those focuses, BSN currently, I would say they're pretty fair in direct-to-consumer. I think overall, all the Glanbia Performance Nutrition brands are pretty fair. I mean, they could be probably doing much better. I think there's probably some channel conflict things that are going on with some of their specialty, some of their physical retailers that they're really not willing to upset at this point of time. So while that kind of gets cleaned up, I think most of the brands are just considered fair, comparable to competition. Now, if you look at the food, drug, mass convenience section, like BSN's fit into that category is, I would say, probably like fair to poor. To me, I think BSN's identity doesn't necessarily fit as much into those channels. They're rooted into innovation, sport, premium for a long period of time. It doesn't necessarily fit into the food, drug, mass convenience. I think Optimum Nutrition fits a lot better into that area, so I wouldn't put both of those in the same targets, the same channels, because you're going to have cannibalization. So not sure that exactly fits. I mean, they do have a licensing deal with Cold Stone Creamery, which that name association could create some velocity within some of those food, drug, mass convenience channels because of the association. Now, protein, I think fair at this point again. Synthesix is a big SKU, still an A SKU for BSN. It was extremely sought after for a long period of time. I think Flavor Systems have kind of caught up to BSN with competitors. I think also like some of the clean label movement, a much cleaner product that can fit into specific fragmented diet protocols. I think just all works against the Synth6 name at this point. So though it still has a great amount of pull overall, I think a lot of its differentiation points have been muted because of some of the trends that are happening. And then if we look at, the ready to eat or the ready to drink, like BSN, again, kind of fair to poor. They do have both ready to eat and ready to drink SKUs. None of those SKUs are be considered a SKU. Personally, they're like BSN, the protein crisp product. I think it's great. It's probably one of the most underrated protein bars out there. Just great. I mean, the flavors are great. The texture is great. It works well even when the protein ages. So if that product would get out there a little bit more, I think it has a lot of velocity potential. Based on what they have now, they have some potential, I think, maybe in the future, utilizing the ANALYST name has a lot more potential. Based around where Glanbia wants to move and where BSN currently is at, I would honestly probably scrap a lot of what's going on at BSN, kind of start fresh. I would start new. So if Glanbia is going to keep this, I think one, going after a very clean rebrand that puts them in the top of the pile of that new look, 2020 type of look. I would get back to innovation. I would try to push the envelope as far as I can for Glanbia. I understand that they have a lot of things that would not allow them to kind of push the envelope to the fullest, but I would try to get to the farthest amount of edgy innovation possible that could be utilized by Glanbia. I would also refocus a lot of my attention on pre-workout and energy. This is the area where they can make the most impact in Glanbia Performance Nutrition. This is where Optimum struggles at, and they need to be taking on market lead C4, Nutrabolt C4. They're running away with the category at this point. They have all the different consumption point type of things. They have pop rocks, they have energy drinks, they have powders, they have, whatever you need at this point, they have it. So they're running away with this. So Glanbia needs to do something to combat this. And we touched on this before, but ANALYST being the reason why, honestly, they purchased this company, outside of just the growth rate in general, I mean, they wanted ANALYST, they wanted access into this growing energy pre-workout category. ANALYST is what it is right now. It's no longer premium anymore. So might as well take the long-standing brand equity that's in there, similar to C4, and throw it into an energy beverage. Go full force. There's no reason why this can't compete against C4 or Celsius or, on some level, Bang. I know they've tried this several times in different iterations with both their protein beverages and their ready-to-drink beverages, but I think now performance subcategory of energy drinks is much more accepted. I think this is a time for them to relaunch, go heavy on it, see what happens. While we're talking about ready to drink, I think protein beverages as well, just in general, you're going to see more competitors into that market here come soon. I think that BSN and just Glanbia Performance Nutrition as a whole has a lot of strengths, has a lot of understanding of this from a powder perspective. It seems like they haven't really hit the mark so far, or maybe have not launched something that they feel most proud about with the ready-to-drink beverages. It's a little bit confusing to me why they haven't went after a Muscle Milk or a Premier Nutrition. Maybe they utilize BSN for their Synth6 name. As again, I know they've done this before, but this was years ago. Consumption behaviors, convenience on the go is much more prevalent today than it was before. And then just outside of product, we're moving into just how they're going to attract buyers. I think if you look at the whole portfolio of Glanbia Performance Nutrition, you don't see a lot of focus towards the younger side of the consumer base, the 18 to 27, especially on the younger side of that range. So I would go full force, young, digital, lifestyle. I would try to create that cool factor again within BSN. I would gate the brand. I would create an exclusive type of a brand. I would figure out what needs to be done to create an exclusive environment in all aspects of their business. The only items that I would non-gate would be, ready to eat and ready to drink type of things that would be into larger sales channels. I would create a different culture within the Glanbia Performance Nutrition. Find the team that fits that. Find the team that wants to execute on that within the portfolio. If you can't, find outside resources, marketing agencies, branding agencies, influencers, different people that can execute on what you need to do to get the cool back into BSN. Because regardless if they, maybe you're looking towards divest or if they keep it, there's value one way or the other. So if they are going to keep this, They need to position BSN to create the most amount of value possible for the portfolio as it is today and as they plan on adding acquisitions in the future. So holes in the portfolio right now are energy, ready to drink, young, and direct to consumer. So build that brand to fit those holes. To me, this is your opportunity to test, try something new, try something totally different than the rest of the portfolio, and hey, if it falls on its face, it doesn't do really well, then you know, hey, that's not our core competency. We don't build cool brands. We don't build innovative brands. We're not going to go out and buy them during that cycle of their business. We're going to be buying, more of the legacy brands, more of the brands that are, coming off of the plateau of their business. We think we can run them better, and we can go with that. At least it gives you an idea of where you need to be looking at from a mergers and acquisitions strategy. So I think this is a crossroads for Glanbia on this brand. I'm not sure if they're thinking about this. Hopefully anybody that's watching this, it's part of the company. Maybe this kind of sparks some creativity, sparks some energy, maybe for you to take this on within your portfolio. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly, and if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.